Space Cafe. News, music, and comedy.
Welcome our witnesses from the Embassy of Ukraine in Canada. We have with us this afternoon His Excellency Andriy Shevchenko, Ambassador of Ukraine to Canada.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair and all the members. I greatly appreciate your deep interest in the recent alarming events in Ukraine and the neighborhood. We were impressed with the swift Canadian reaction to the escalation by Russia, and we truly felt this overwhelming support across the party lines from the Ukrainian Canadian Congress and from the wider Canadian public. These events will have a direct impact on the national security of Canada. Therefore, it is in the interest of Canadian public that you and other Canadian decision makers are well informed on the matter. And to kick off the conversation, I want to share with you just three thoughts. First, the Russian military buildup along the Ukrainian border is not over. Even after the Russians said they would pull out the troops, a significant portion of the deployments stayed, and the heavy weaponry, including thousands of tanks and armored vehicles, stayed as well. Officially, all that stays for Zapad 2021 or West 2021, which is a major military drill scheduled for September. However, even today, it is an immediate threat to us at this very moment. So we see no changes for better along the border in the occupied territories of Donbass, where the Russians have ready to use two army corps. And of course, as we speak, the Russians continue to turn the Crimean Peninsula into a huge military base, which is supposed to boost Moscow's capabilities in the Black Sea and in the Mediterranean. So again, we're witnessing the biggest military buildup by the Russians against Ukraine since the invasion of 2014, and it is very far from being over. My second thought is about the wider context. In fact, nothing between Russia and its any given neighbor is bilateral. There is always a wider geography behind every aggressive move that Putin makes. And this is why we should also watch closely all the unfriendly actions towards the Baltic nations or Moldova, which is struggling desperately to get out of the Russian grip, or Belarus. And it was very important that Canada was not a bystander in the situation with the forced landing of the Ryanair flight. We see increasing Russian military activity in the European skies and a major military buildup in the Arctic. Let's also not overlook the cyber attacks in the United States. So to summarize, we should see this as a massive, dangerous, multi-level, anti-Western operation with many tactical goals and ways to challenge the free world, and with one strategic purpose, which is to deconstruct the existing international order. And this is why, and this is my third comment, Canada and its NATO allies should rethink, upgrade, and boost their response to the Russian aggressive actions. We are pleased to see Jens Stoltenberg, NATO's Secretary General, identifying Russia as a major threat to the alliance in the next 10 years. We are looking forward to the upcoming NATO summit, and we believe this is the time we should finally lay down a clear path for Ukraine to become a NATO member. We do thank Canada for your commitment to the 2008 decision by the Bucharest summit to go ahead with the membership action plan for Ukraine and Georgia. Today, 13 years later, we must finally start moving forward. We want NATO to utilize our defense and intelligence capabilities, our experience, our soft power influence across the region, and our readiness to stand up for the free world. And they truly believe that Canada is in the perfect position to discuss the benefits of having Ukraine in NATO with your NATO's allies. we want your voice to be heard at the Brussels summit and at all the conversations about the future of the security system in Europe and the site. Well, as a former parliamentarian myself, I know that time is a very hard currency in the parliamentary settings. It can possibly be beaten in value only by this undivided attention that I'm very privileged to have. So I'm going to save the rest of my time for the benefit of a free conversation. And I would like to brainstorm together on what Canada and Ukraine can do to secure peace and order. I'll be happy to talk in details about Operation Unifier and sanctions against the aggressor, about defense assistance and intelligence exchange, about the Crimean platform and the recent developments in Belarus and wider neighborhood. Honorable Chair, I'm looking forward to this meaningful and very timely conversation. Thank you.
Ambassador, thank you so much for your opening remarks. We will now go to round one of questions. These are 6-minute segments that go to members of parliament. And leading us off this afternoon will be Mr. Chong. The floor is yours, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to thank Ambassador Shevchenko and the delegation from the Embassy of Ukraine for joining our committee today. It's good to see you, Ambassador, again. Canada and Ukraine have historic ties, as you know. Over 1 million Canadians trace their roots back to Ukraine. On December 2nd, 1991, Prime Minister Mulroney recognized Ukraine's independence, and Canada became the first Western country to do so. Under Prime Minister Harper, Canada strongly condemned Russia's illegal annexation of Crimea and interference in Ukraine and commenced Operation Unifier. And the current government, led by Prime Minister Trudeau, continues to support Ukraine with the continuance of Operation Unifier, the Canadian training-led mission in Ukraine. We strongly support Ukraine's independence and its territorial integrity, and so we thank you for taking the time to appear in front of our committee today. Ambassador, a year and a half ago, our two countries were tied together in tragedy with the shooting down of Ukrainian Airlines Flight 752 by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, which killed 85 Canadians and Canadian residents. The families of those victims are still seeking justice. Recently, the Ontario Superior Court concluded that the IRGC committed a terrorist act. We've been calling on the government to list the IRGC as a terrorist entity under the criminal code. Does Ukraine consider the downing of Flight 752 to be a terrorist act, and what is its position on the shooting down of this airliner?
Thank you very much. Well, first of all, I should tell you that we do share this pain about this very tragic incident. And I feel that it's extremely important for Canada and Ukraine to closely cooperate on this matter. And this means proper investigation, which is not happening right now. It means fair financial compensations for the families of the victims. And it also means that we should find proper ways to hold responsible those people who should be who were responsible for downing of the plane. We at the moment are considering different scenarios how we can move forward. Probably you know that as we speak, an Iranian delegation is in Kyiv, Ukraine, to continue negotiations with Ukraine. Ukraine speaks on behalf of all the 5 countries involved, and I would like to reassure that that Iran won't be able to split us. We will speak with one voice, and this is the way to move forward.
Thank you.
And following your question, yes, we're considering all the possible scenarios and options.
Ukraine borders Belarus. A week ago, President Lukashenko ordered a MiG-29 to force down Ryanair Flight 4978. Like Ukrainian Airlines Flight 752 and Malaysian Airlines Flight 17, a flight which was downed over Ukraine and which killed hundreds of Dutch citizens. That downing of Ryanair Flight 4978 could have ended in disaster. We believe that Alexander Lukashenko must be held responsible for this violation of international air transport rules. What is Ukraine's position on the forcing down of this Ryanair flight, and what action is Ukraine taking in international fora such as ICAO, seeing that 3 flights in the last 7 years connected to Ukraine have been affected by authoritarian states?
We share your view of the situation. We see this as a forced landing. I think Canada did the right thing with a swift reaction to this situation. Ukraine has banned flights to and from Belarus, and we cooperate with our European and international allies on further sanctions against Belarus. Just one more thought on this. We all should realize that it would be very difficult to imagine that Lukashenko made the decision without having President Putin behind him. We see Belarus becoming integrated into the Russian military and political decision, and this is the way we should see it.
Okay, thank you, Ambassador. A final question. As you know, Canada is helping Ukraine to fight corruption and strengthen the rule of law. Mr. Michael Yurkovich, a Canadian, has built 54 megawatts of power projects in Ukraine, investing a total of $65 million. One of those projects is a 10.5 megawatt solar project in Nikopol. However, the project appears to have been blocked by Ihor Kolomoisky, a Ukrainian billionaire, and Ukraine's courts do not appear to be upholding the rule of law. So I have two questions. First, has the Canadian government made any representation to you on this issue? And secondly, what is your government doing to address this situation?
We follow closely the situation, and I should tell you that we greatly cherish this very important Canadian investment into the Ukrainian economy, and specifically because it's about renewable energy, so it's a very important one. Yes, this issue has been raised across the party lines by the Canadian officials and by the Ukrainian-Canadian Congress. So this is a good sign that we should take the situation very seriously, and this is the way the Ukrainian government treats it.
Okay.
It's in the courts. We hope there'll be a good solution.
Very quick question. I have a few seconds left. What is Ukraine's position on the $15 billion canal Turkey wants to build between the Black Sea and the Sea of Marmara?
I wouldn't be able to comment on that today, but I should tell you that we think that all the interests should be taken into account when major decisions are taken.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
The great, beautiful country Ukraine is. Safe Space Cafe. Like, subscribe. Have a good day.